All right, so let's see if we can't continue on with cleaning up some of the MathML in the document. And I'm going to start with this definition 6 here. These guys are fine. I'll be working with this, with the actual definition. So, a couple of things that I ran into, I'll be pointing them out as I go along. But we'll just start with formatting the code block. To get it a bit, get it aligned in such a way that it's a bit more legible, a bit easier on the eye to see what's going on. All right. Let's see here. We're just going to give the name. We're just going to give the stack a name of definition. We're displaying it in line. Okay, cool. And we're actually going to continue using mfence until there's either really no need to do it, but I don't agree with the assessment by the development group that mfence should be deprecated based on the notion of it being redundant. I'm going to publish an argument. By publish, I mean either in video form, but probably maybe also write it up in a sort of rigorous manner for why, and just sort of evidence, and hopefully be able to prove the cases where mfence is actually appropriate and mrow would be insufficient. So I make the case, certainly with a great deal of confidence, that there are many cases where mfence is appropriate and mrow would be insufficient to syntactically express what we mean. In certain code blocks, we're expressing the content that we're meaning to convey mathematically and so on. So I'm going to continue using mfence until I come across an argument that is a bit stronger by my estimation in terms of why you shouldn't. But until such time, mfence is perfectly good. Okay, so let's just start with, we'll open with brace, and we'll close with brace. We're just going to name this quickly. It's a rational number. All right, and yeah, so I'll address these indicators here in just a second. Let's see. Okay, so far so good. And for our separators, we don't have, the default separator for mfence is comma, so we don't have to be explicit about these commas here. And actually, we want thin space. There we go. Okay, so that's good. Don't need this guy. Okay. We'll use ellipses in here. And we're going to enclose the ellipses by an operator tag. Okay, so that's starting to look a lot better. Okay, and I think we'll continue on with thin space. Actually, seems to be plenty. And then the same thing over here. All right, so far so good. Right, and yeah, we'll see what we can, oh, I see. There we go. Yeah, and does not. Okay, so one of the things that we'll have to overcome here in a second is this comma and that comma. And I believe the way we'll do it, actually right away, is just by putting it inside of a row. All right. There we go. Good. And then now let's maybe put this inside of a row. Well, let's see here. What do we need? Yeah, so let's put this guy inside of a row. See what that looks like. Okay, that does look slightly better. Replace this comma and put in, might have to change thin space to non-breaking space, but we'll worry about that in a moment. And I'm not sure why I thought ellipses was the we also don't need a comma there. Great. So comma is not what we need here. Okay, but we'll leave the thin spacing for now. In fact, we'll change it. We'll change it to non-breaking space. Let's have a look. Okay, we'll change it to non-breaking space, and then we want a comma here, actually, don't we? I see. Okay. Yeah, so that's fine. So this is how we'll do it. So m and n are integers, and n does not equal 0. All right. So you'll notice that there's some funky stuff going on with the fonts. I mean, this is kind of what I've been talking about in terms of doing MathML on pages, or for that matter, LaTeX in pages. It will be the same issue. So we'll address this as follows. And actually, let's give it a bit more height. Yeah, we don't need it to be that big. All right, so one way to work around this. Okay, so that's Times New Roman. We see that. And it's not the font that we want. So I think this guy, it's a special character that I'll find. The thing that I've sort of discovered is that in working with special characters, which I think for mathematicians that is going to continue to be very, very useful and ideal in many ways. Okay, so I would encourage folks who are coding but with mathematics as a primary goal as opposed to computer science, let's say, or computer programming, to reserve an intellectual affection for special characters. They're going to turn out to be quite useful for mathematicians. And you're already going to see this with, well, I forget his name off the top of my head, but what is it, I think it's Kevin Buzzard in his work with Lean. He is also an advocate of the use of special characters, particularly in the context of what he calls an integrated theorem prover, or 𝗕ciecie𝗸𝘀𝘀, and I suppose the distinction is there and might be important to make it clear, but what 𝗕ciecie𝗸𝘀𝘀 and sort of more traditionalists might call automated theorem provers. So special characters have their place and will continue to have their place in coding and mathematics coding and so on. So I just want to point that out. Now, so here's the issue. So related characters seem to go in without any problem into these into the equation editor with pages, right? So I just put this guy in right here, no problem. So this is a related character, related to n in some capacity. Okay, no problem. Right? You're seeing that? These are going in, no problem. However, font variations, for some reason or other, this is something still to be figured out. But the font variations, okay, so that's Dido. So let's see if Dido works. No, Dido also doesn't work. So the typeface, the font family for this document is Latin Modern Math and Latin Modern Roman. Okay, so here we go. Latin Modern Roman, 10 italic, 12 italic, 7 italic, Latin Modern Roman. So these guys, for some reason, the equation editor does not like. That's Times New Roman. Okay, that's Times New Roman. You can see the difference. The top arc of the character is a bit more bulgent. Okay, it's a bit more round. This is more of a narrow character style. So this is Times New Roman, or something to that effect, Times or Times New Roman. This is Latin Modern Math. Okay, so this is what I've discovered, is that font variations, the equation editor in Pages does not accept font variations. I can do this all day. I will not accept them. I've been doing this all day already. I've spent way too much time on this, sort of going through nearly every one. Does not accept them. On the other hand, related characters, no problem. No problem. These guys go in, no issue. Okay, it's just the font variants, for some reason or other, are not acceptable. So, for that reason, to sort of have at least, and this is for letter characters. For the number characters we saw, we were able to come up with a workaround which involved mtext as opposed to math indicator, but that doesn't work here. That unfortunately does not work here. So I just decided to go with the closest possible character style font family that I could find for these characters. In this case, that's mathematical script. In this case, small n. That seems to work fine. Okay, because it's a related character. The equation editor will accept the related characters. Great, so let's see if we can't find, well, I've actually already previously had located the relevant one for m, so that's what we'll go with there, okay? All right, so now what's left to do? Let's flesh out the code block a bit, and we'll say explicitly we'll put that in explicitly. It doesn't change anything. It's just a way to flesh out the code block such that we have something a bit more resembling a traditional code block to look at. Okay, and in this case, what makes most sense to me is to say compute or compile character as font variation. All right. Okay. All right. So compile character is font variation. Once more. And then what's this row here? Such that up until yeah, the phrase are integers. Okay, so let's go with for now, let's just go with subordinate clause. We'll go with clause type subordinate. Okay, we'll make some adjustment to this as we go along. All right. Fine with that. Compile character as font variation. Okay. And separator true. Compile characters font variation. And okay, and then we'll go with what I'd like to do is go with adjectival conjunction for this guy, and then we'll go with type relation. Okay, this is for now. Compile character as font variation. Okay, so this is the inequality, of course, but it's also the relation. So variable, and I'm using on this particular Mac, it's the font face that I like. So just Option F. So variable functor. We might say comparative or adjectival. Okay, so there's some options there. And then for this guy, we'll go with name. Go with names. And for now, we'll just use that. We can get rid of this guy. It's a whole number, it's an integer. That's all fine. Not null, void, 0. Don't need 0 per se here. Okay, so that looks sufficiently fine for now. Again, we can always come back and make some improvements, but it's a way of fleshing out the code. And ideally what we'll do is make this, as you see here, make it like it's as ideal, right, as perfect as we can. So that'll be the long-term goal. But since we're thinking of pages as a sort of scratch this sort of notepad, a sort of scratch pad. This is a way of sort of developing the intuition for doing it. All right, so let's just update that, and yeah, and break here, and I'll see you in the next one.